Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's In Search of Tomorrow watch party for the fantastic film Explorers. I'm Andrew Dalton, and I'm joined by the CREATORVC CEO, Robin Block, and our special guest host, Lon Strickland. Hello, gentlemen.
How's it going, guys?
Yeah, really good. Really good to see you here, Lon. Thanks so much.
Yeah, excited to be here.
Yeah, it's an epic movie.
It is.
And I'm really looking forward to sharing this with our community. And our fearless director, David Weiner, actually interviewed Joe Dante just a few days ago out in LA. And he was kind enough, Joe was kind enough to give us a little video message, which I think, Andrew, you're gonna play just before the film.
I will be. I'll be playing that just before the movie. The wonderful Mr. Dante recorded a snippet for us.
So I'm only going to be on the call for a little while.
That's right.
Just to say hi to everyone, and also to let you know about some changes that are happening to watch parties and our community and all of that kind of great stuff. So for over a year now, we've been having watch parties, special guest presenters, and our Discord has been growing and growing. And there'll be people tuning in on YouTube and Facebook right now that aren't part of the Discord that maybe will join when we do our next release, hopefully. But it's going great guns. And I've got to say, the people in Discord are just remarkable. Such a great bunch of people and amazing fans. And it's been such a privilege to see this community develop. We are going to make a few changes though. So the first big change is we're no longer going to be just pushing out single films kind of almost at random. What we've decided to do, and with the leadership of Andrew Dalton here, we're actually putting together a whole season of related films, both on the horror side of things and on sci-fi. So you guys can know in advance what's coming up. We actually want to create a situation where we can play a few films that relate to each other.
That's right. That's right. I mean,
really exciting. So you get people, coming to relive those experiences.
Exactly. And if I can chip in, I mean, I've been working on this, as you know, Robin, on the new scheduling I've been trying to do. We've been taking on board the feedback from the community. So we are going to make sure you know about movies further in advance. So, we'll be able to know, hopefully up to 6 weeks or so plus in advance. You'll know exactly what's going to be there. We're curating a season. And am I okay to announce the name of the summer season, Robin, the provisional name?
Yes, you are.
I'm provisionally calling it the Summer of Popcorn, and it will be spread across In Search of Tomorrow and In Search of Darkness, and they will be big hitter popcorn fun movies. So we are going to have a blast this summer with proper summer blockbuster type movies.
Wonderful. What a great way to exit the COVID nonsense.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've had a few kind of nice messages from the community. Sharon and Hannah.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, guys. Like, this is great. So the other thing as well is we're going to change the format for the hosting of the watch parties. So with CREATORVC and In Search of Darkness and In Search of Tomorrow, because we're crowd-funded projects, I always call it community-powered entertainment. And I like to feel like our project and us and you, we're kind of like the underdogs a little bit. We're not in the industry. We're kind of creating our own kind of industry. And we want that to follow through to what we're doing here on YouTube and Discord and all of that kind of good stuff. So we are going to open up the platform to super fans. So we want to hear from horror influencers, sci-fi influencers. You don't even have to be an influencer. You could just be someone who's really passionate and really into the movies that we're going to be sharing and getting everyone together, because we want to represent fandom. We want to sort of be the voice of fandom, I suppose. And we're still going to have special guests come in. We're going to get planning on that as well. Now we've got this new watch party season in place. But I think this is really exciting. Like, we want this community to represent you. And we actually want you to be part of it. But also, just on that note, because we are beginning development for In Search of Darkness 3 very soon, a big part of In Search of Darkness 3 is going to be like how we bring fans into it. I've said to David, what I want at the end of that epic In Search of Darkness 3, the final chapter on 80s horror. I want everyone to be in tears at the end. I want it to be like emotional, and I want it to kind of be about you guys and how you relate to this subject and what that means to you. So of course it makes sense to open up this platform to represent you. So if you're really passionate about any of the movies we're going to be featuring, come and join us. We'd love to have you on here. Now, I just want to end on this. It's Andrew Dalton's birthday tomorrow, right? So, and I'm not going to say how old he is because he doesn't look as old as he is.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Andrew. This, what you've done for us with the technical aspects of putting this together, which has got better and better each week. Also, just having you on the show, love your authenticity, love your character, love your love for these movies as well. Thank you so much for everything you give us. And everyone's giving you shout outs and happy birthday, but happy birthday, mate, for tomorrow. And I'd love to hear from the community. What do you want to see? If one of you wants to come on, let us know. And that goes out. We're going to be doing a lot of promotion across our socials over the next few weeks, looking for, really engaging, really fun, charismatic, super fans of this to come and join us and just, build a better club. And that's exactly it for me. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Okay, then. So that's going to be Explorers tonight for everybody. We're going to have an amazing time. So I tell you what, I've waffled on enough. Let's get ready with the film. Let's play our Joe Dante clip, and then let's get into this.
Hi, In Search of Tomorrow's fans and sci-fi fans. I hope you enjoy this Explorers watch party. We didn't make this picture thinking that people were going to be watching it and talking about it during the same period, but hey, we weren't ahead of the curve, but the movie was a little bit. Take a look.
Here we go then. Okay, so if everyone's got queued up, we're at a Gulf and Western Company Paramount logo, and we'll count down on 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press play. There we go. Just waiting for that incredible Joe Dante, goodness me, Jerry Goldsmith's score.
Oh, it's a fantastic, fun time.
Oh, it is. It's so wonderful.
And how cool to be prepped with Joe Dante himself.
Oh,
even
we
in
are
that clip, you can get a feel for how he feels about this movie.
Yeah, I love this movie. I think from the get-go, for me, it's very much, it's every kid's dream. It's
I saw it in pieces growing up, and the scene that really had an impact on me was when they're experimenting and the one kid gets stuck in the bubble.
Yeah, that
was kind of nightmarish.
I don't know. I just think it's all played kind of for laughs, and it's just amazing. I mean, the thing as well is I'm maybe a little bit slightly younger than these kids by a few years, but this is my 80s. This is my childhood. I'm seeing the bedrooms. I'm seeing the way things were and the way things just were. It's just amazing. Oh, and this scene, the dream of flying. I mean, okay, maybe it's a little cliched. I don't know, but I just love it. It's just so much fun.
Yeah,
but I've been
good spirit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the community are saying that they all love this flick. They absolutely love it. Ariel's saying she loves the Goldsmith score. People are saying about Joe Dante. Lizardman says, "How come you never have a flying dream?" And Mr. Fizzle says, "I think Flynn's going to fly by in a second." And then it's really great because we see kind of the transition between the city, flying over the city, to the sort of computer mainboard here. And it's very much sort of the Tron way of doing things, where the city and sort of a circuit board are interchangeable.
Right. And I think the idea here is that there's some telekinetic things happening.
Yeah.
Humans and the aliens, which is a pretty big concept. That's a pretty heady idea to take on.
Yeah. And the thing to remember as well is, if you're watching this movie, and when I watched this again the other day, I thought of this. The kids are obsessed with 50s and 60s sci-fi, but that's no different really from us being obsessed with 80s sci-fi.
Right.
It's a similar time gap. When you think of the number of years between it from the 80s to, with us, it's the similar thing. It's just you like what was there from a generation before.
That's right. The directors infuse a lot of the things that they grew up with, and
Yeah.
they're nods to the things that inspired them. And now it's sort of we're doing the same thing with these
Yeah.
movies.
Oh, and the legendary Rob Bottin was mentioned
Oh
there for the
yeah, that's
special
great.
effects.
That's great. I wonder if he
So,
almost killed himself on this one, like he did on The Thing.
I don't know, but it's quite light in sort of creature effects, this movie, but when they are there, they are of a high standard and they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. Joe's work always had really wonderful practical effects.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely. And is that the War of the Worlds movie or TV show? Forgive me, because I'm not familiar entirely with it. What was on?
The War
Maybe
of
that
the
chap could have. I think it's War of the Worlds TV show. Or no, it is War of the Worlds, Mr. Frizzle said. It's the movie. Thank you, Sparky John.
Film, which still holds up. That's a really
cool
movie.
That's right. Oh, and the dream. Unfortunately, I always wanted to do this as a kid, but my friends lived too far away to have, the cheap walkie-talkies you'd have as a kid that didn't have any real range. You always would dream they'd have a range of several miles to your friend's house. And they'd stop working at the top of the street.
Yeah, this was a cliche in a lot of these movies. Is they always had this was the means of communication.
Yeah, Big had a similar thing, but they were neighbors in Big. They were actually next door neighbors.
And it's sort of an odd role for River Phoenix, right? He was typically cast as sort of like the burnout kid, but in this, he's sort of the brainy.
Exactly.
He does it really well. It shows how good of an actor he really is.
He was a great actor, but apparently he didn't like being the nerd particularly. He didn't want to be the nerd. Something I did notice on this, because this is a very Spielberg Dante film. It has a very sort of Spielberg feel to it.
Sure.
And there's a very sort of Spielberg trope in this. And I don't know whether or not he is absent, but in Spielberg movies, we often have the trope of the absent father in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And we never see the main character's father at any point in the movie or him referred to. So I don't know if he's just not shown, if he's deceased, or if he's left. So it's very Spielberg, sort of very Spielberg in that way.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because it also brings to mind some of the things I've heard about how this production kind of got pulled from Dante's hands before he was really ready to release it or give up on it. And I think it has a bit of a David Lynch's Dune feel, I think, when it comes to how the director felt this movie was sort of taken away from him. Objectively, I think it actually plays pretty well, not knowing what was originally intended. But there are things throughout it where you can kind of tell that there was, it's a first draft kind of feel.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron just said apparently that his father was in the deleted scenes, but I guess but then that could have been that wouldn't be the first time a character's been erased from the story for reasons. So he could potentially. And the late great, is it Amanda? Forgive me, someone in the chat can refer to her name, who was in Can't Buy Me Love, who plays the love interest of Laurie Swanson in this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh, it's Amanda Peterson. Thank you, Aaron. She passed away a few years ago.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one, and there's something about the older, speaking of his father, there's a storyline about the older generation's perspective on what the kids are doing and the notion of alien contact that you get little bits and pieces of. But I think that was an element that was maybe intended. There's
another, bit of Dante, bit of a Dante favorite there. Charles M. Jones High School with Chuck Jones, because he's in Gremlins and bit of a favorite of Mr. Dante.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of the favorites show up in this.
Yeah. But I mean, this is for me. This is quite different to my sort of school. I mean, this would be. Is this grade school? Because in the UK, we have primary school and then secondary school or high school, as they call it here. But
I always got the feeling they were like in middle school. So in the States here, we have middle is 6 through 8, or it was for me at least. And I always got the feeling that they were in that higher tier,
Yeah.
sixth or seventh grade, something like that.
Yeah, that would be high. In the UK, you do primary school from sort of 5 to 11, and then secondary or high school you do from 11 to sort of 16, 17.
Oh, interesting.
So it's a little bit different. So Ethan Hawke, according to Aaron, Ethan Hawke was not an actor, but he went with a friend to the audition for Explorers, and he got the lead. He did a wonderful job in this.
What an interesting career he has had. Let's talk about successful child actors.
Yeah. Great actor. But I think as much as this film didn't get as much love as it should have done when it came out, and I think it's a real shame, but it was basically, it came out very close to Back to the Future, which is, yeah, you don't want to come out near Back to a monster like that, but no one knew that was going to be the monster movie it became.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the third act of this is where I think the audience maybe gets a bit divided in terms of what the expectations were. I have always really enjoyed the direction this movie goes.
Yeah.
But I think for some people, it's a bit of a shocker.
It is. It goes in a strange direction. It's a shame because
it's so bonkers.
It is. It's a bit. The nearest thing I can compare it to is where it becomes a very different. I wouldn't say it's different. Well, it is. It becomes very just weird.
Yeah. It's beyond your expectations, but it makes a lot of sense when you become familiar with Dante and his passion for pop culture. And I think it was Looney Tunes Back in Action where I really realized. I think it was that one where Joe Dante, his love for pop culture was just bursting at the seams in that movie.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. But I mean, one thing I would say is about the ending, without getting too much into it now, so save that for those of us who haven't seen this in a long time or haven't seen it. I don't believe the kids in the film are the explorers in the title.
Oh, interesting theory.
I believe it's referring to the end of the movie. They are the explorers.
Ah, yes, that would also be applicable.
Yeah. So the chat is saying that Eric Luke based Ben on himself. Aaron, you're coming thick and fast with the chat today. Oh, there we go. But you did see him drop that tape recorder in the fight where he saved him. So that's a nice little bit of continuity.
Who's the actor playing the father there?
I don't know.
He had a lot of roles back in the day.
Yeah. That's but we've got Jason Preston playing
James Cromwell. James Cromwell is in this movie.
James Cromwell he's phenomenal in it. He is absolutely phenomenal in this movie.
Yeah, and he's such a fantastic actor.
Oh, he is. With playing Wolfgang's father.
That's right. Yeah. I love this basement set too. This is a really fun environment for the kids.
It really is. It's the kind of dream basement, isn't it? That you'd hope you'd have.
Stuff. It's so loaded with
I think we might have some different things going on, some different cuts here at the moment, because a few people are saying you're a bit ahead, Lon, so maybe your cut's slightly different.
Oh, possibly. I'm watching. This is the version I own.
So, Aaron, were you sort of dealing with them in the gully with the in the trench? There we go. Yeah, that's where I'm kind of up to as well. Yeah, with the dad mentioned. I think maybe you've got a scene missing in your edition, because this film has had many editions.
Oh, interesting.
So we can maybe if you say where you are and we'll pause and you can catch back up with us. That might be an idea.
Yeah, they just came out with a new release, right? So Shout Factory put it out.
Yeah, but there's been some different releases as well. There's been home video and theatrical releases that have been extended and shortened as well. So we're just at the scene with the mom saying sort of hi in the house now to them all upstairs, where they're showing the chaos in the kitchen of the 80s kitchen. I agree, Matt. I agree absolutely, Matt. Looking at this 80s-ness of seeing the toys and just seeing everything is so wonderful. Yep, the kid with the mask eating. He's great. Eating just cereal. I remember as a kid going to friends' houses, and it would be just like a circus with the kind of chaos going on. So we're just at the scene now with them walking down into the basement. They've had their baklava from the mother.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is exciting too for me. I love seeking out these alternate cuts. So after this, I'm definitely gonna have to get my hands on this, figure out how many cuts exist.
Yes, there are. I do
Especially with movies like this. Whenever there's stuff you haven't seen, it's really, really otherworldly.
Wonderful.
To see it is stuff that you missed, you know, or almost the Little Shop of Horrors, you know, mind blowing experience of watching the director's cut, having grown up with that movie.
Oh, I love this scene. You got the mouse, and the mouse just starts saying. Initially, it says "I want some cheese," and then it keeps telling people to go to hell every few seconds. It's absolutely brilliant. Go.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what my cut's going to do here, considering.
That's okay. We'll keep in sync. We can do that. If the kids can build a spaceship out of a, well, we'll save that for later in the movie. We can keep. I'm sure we can keep some movies in sync. Oh, and all this great old sci-fi comics on the bookshelves. That is incredibly dangerous from an electronics point of view. You should. As a technical thing here, if anyone ever plays with a CRT, this is from my retro computing experience, if anyone plays with an old CRT monitor, never ever run it without the cover on, because that strap you see on the top there, that could kill you if you touched it, if the capacitors are charged.
Damn.
Yeah, it's incredibly dangerous. And it's quite interesting because you see later on, you see the cover is back on the monitor, but that is incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, one of the aspects of filmmaking that has really stood out to myself and my wife in recent years is the use of props in films, because she started working for a prop house here in Hollywood called ISS.
Okay.
And after she started working there, we started noticing props. They really started standing out to us with our movie-going experiences. And she'll see stuff that she's handled and managed for the studio.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool when you start really paying attention to the stuff that they're interacting with on screen. It's someone's entire job, you know, when it comes to putting these things together. The prop masters are often underrated contributors to these movies.
I love the fact that they turn it kind of explains how this works. They don't write the software for the computer. They explain it programs itself, and it's really just an antenna that they've built. So it's something is programming this little Apple computer. It's an Apple IIe that they have.
Yeah, the whole notion is that they're basically dealing with an intelligence that is manipulating things.
That's right. So it possibly takes some kind of cues from Poltergeist in some ways, you know, an unknown intelligence controlling things, moving things around. But fortunately, it's not a sinister force as well.
Well, it's also it aligns with a lot of the actual conversations happening right now, with an increase in the UFO phenomena that we're seeing, especially in the States. I don't know if you guys are getting that in the UK, but they're dropping UFO stuff left and right right now in the news. So this is kind of a relevant movie right now here in the States.
Mr. Furzel says they could have made their dream girl on that thing, not on the Apple. It was a Memotech. They need to make you have to have the Memotech for making dream girls.
That's right.
Apple computers are for flying spaceships. And IMSI 8080s, I believe from memory, they use those to hack whoppers. So oh yeah, James Cromwell, it's been great.
Yeah, his presence in this movie definitely elevates everything. The sheer production value of it.
Yeah, I love the fact as well. His son is basically just a mini clone of him, and they just let him get on with crazy science experiments in the house without questioning it, as long as it's in the name of science.
Right. The mad scientist family.
Yeah. Oh, Carla says the music does sound podcast. The score to this is wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful, as is the Goldsmith score to Inner Space, which is another favorite of mine. Goldsmith is often overshadowed by John Williams in some ways, I think. I mean, his stuff's incredible, but it's some really amazing stuff. Oh, This Island Earth. Absolute classic.
Yeah, he makes sure he makes reference to a lot of these wonderful movies from the past.
Exactly. I've always wanted to build a prop into Rossiter to have in my office from this movie.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't tapped into merchandising on this one, as they have with a lot of other titles, because there's a lot to do. There's a lot to pull from here.
It's a great film. This was the movie they used in Mystery Science Theatre. The movie, wasn't it? It was This Island Earth was the one they riffed. Yes, Mr. Fritzl knows it from MST3K. Oh, Aaron's saying get ready for Dick Miller later. As far as great actors go, Dick Miller is wonderful in this.
Wouldn't be a Joe Dante film without Dick Miller.
No, not at all. Wow. And again, the kind of thing that 80s kids maybe would do, but now if you caught, I mean, I know you've got kids, Lon. If you caught your son on the roof like that, you'd be you wouldn't be having a warm conversation with him saying, well, that's a wonderful thing to have done. It'd be more like, get down before you slip and break your neck.
I want to say getting on the roof feels like a nostalgic thing. Like we used to be more drawn to that, but in a pre-internet era, getting on the roof and just looking at the sky, that's not something that is as common these days.
No. Pre-cell phones.
Absolutely. Movies like this are reminders of kind of where we were culturally in this time. And I think just the huge increase in technology has just made the nostalgia factor really shine on titles like this.
Oh, definitely.
So there's that bubble that scared me when I was a kid. This thing was always creepy to me.
I don't know. I don't think it's that creepy. I think it's kind of cool. It's
something about, alien technology and not understanding it. At the age I was at, I think I was like, 6 or 7. There was just something really that frightened me about it.
So the question I've got for you, Lon, is, and I think everyone in the chat, how did you first see Explorers? Because I think, as we've said, it didn't do great business at the theatre. So how did you first see this movie?
It was on broadcast.
Okay.
I think when I first encountered it, and I came into it late, and I would pick it up in pieces when it would air on television, until I think my brother and I finally sought out the complete film. We rented it, and this is probably like 1990 when I finally saw it, and we really enjoyed it. But it was one of those films that kind of vanishes in your mind, and you remember, you're like, oh, I enjoyed that, and you watch it again and you can't really remember it. So it's like seeing it for the first time. I've seen it enough now to where I'm pretty familiar with this movie, and I really do like it. But similar is the Monster Squad for me, where
very similar movie,
bits and pieces throughout, growing up and I had varying feelings about it. I remember disliking it when I was younger, and then I grew to, really like it when I was older. And these 80s movies are just magical in that way. They're almost
they really are. I mean, I saw this, I had this on VHS is how I discovered it. I don't even know how wide a theatrical release it had in the UK. And it was a movie they showed on sort of afternoons near Christmas when they put a lot of movies on TV as well. Saw it a few times. So it's always been a huge favorite of mine. I just think it's got such a good heart to this film.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a kind film. But a lot of people are saying that only one person says they think they saw it in the theatre. But Hannah Rose, artist, who I know is a huge fan, Hannah, saying, ironically, finding this community has made online has made me reevaluate my post-internet life. These films inspire me to get out and enjoy more analog pleasures. The internet highlight for me these days is the watch parties in here. Well, Hannah, it's wonderful to have you join us, and we've got a great season ahead that I hope you really enjoy. But we've got a lot of people saying they saw it on VHS, and that's how I saw it.
Yeah,
I was seeing the sphere destroying the basement.
Yeah, this is the scene that I remember. On my version, we've just come to the park where they're by the tree. And
okay.
So am I ahead or am I behind?
You're a little bit ahead of us.
Let me know when that scene shows up on your end.
Yeah, when they're in the park, I'll let you know.
Yeah, right when they're getting to that tree. It was very iconic memory for me, this particular scene.
Yeah. I just love this trashed basement, and it's the kind of...
And when that ball starts moving around, I mean, that bubble, that's serious business. That thing could have easily killed them.
Oh, it certainly could have killed them without a doubt. It was, it could have gone through somebody.
It would have been horrifically violent. This would have changed the tone of the film completely.
Oh, exactly.
Like a Paul Verhoeven movie.
Thank God it didn't. So they're in the park now. So they are carrying, they're carrying the computer up the hill. I'll give this scene a buy. I like it, even though they are powering the computers we find on a 9-volt battery, which is quite they're powering a large CRT monitor and a computer on a 9-volt battery. So we'll go with it.
What a cool location they found for this, though.
Oh, without a doubt. Where is this location? Can someone in the chat find out for us? It is just a great...
It looks like California to me.
Mm.
Just because of the mountains in the back.
Oh, they're all having a look, as someone just said. The other thing that didn't help this movie was it was released a day before Live Aid, this movie. And no one went anywhere. I remember when Live Aid, I remember as a kid, Live Aid. I was a bit young to appreciate what it was about, but I just remember the world stopped for it.
Interesting. Yeah, maybe Northern California.
Yeah. I'll be fair, it looks like making it bigger. He did something realistic that you might do in the software. He pressed the up arrow key several times. So again, I'll go with that.
I found this very disturbing as a child. The fact that he was trapped in this bubble and he couldn't breathe.
Yeah. It could be quite nightmarish. I can see that.
This wonderful old blue screen effect.
Yeah.
But they really do a nice job merging with the practical elements here.
I mean, when you consider they didn't have all the modern... Oh.
No, he's going through the earth.
Yeah, journey to the center of the earth. Oh, you just said journey to the center of the earth. There we go. And Lizardman says he's getting a lot of Stranger Things vibes from this at times. Yeah, well, this will have... Stranger Things, you can just see it's been influenced by this. Goonies, Monster Squad, all the stuff of its era is a big influence of it.
That's a big fun element of Stranger Things, is just catching what they're referencing in each season. What are they going to dive into next? It's like, oh, it's the thing, yay.
Mad Matt saying Flight of the Navigator vibes for him.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It was almost like the Goonies for tech nerds, you know?
It was. I love the main score to this film, the main theme. It's very, very uplifting.
Yeah, Jerry Goldsmith did just countless amazing themes throughout his career.
Oh yes.
It's really sad that he left us, because he was sort of invaluable to the world of cinema.
Oh, he was. I mean, and then of course his son was working with him on some of the scores towards the end. His son sadly passed as well. So
yeah,
that's very sad. But one thing that I love about Goldsmith's scores, as people know on these watch parties, I'm quite a big Disney fan. They use the Goldsmith score. Well, the ride Soarin' extensively has, including the Explorer's theme in the queue. They play a selection of movie scores, and the actual main score from the ride Soarin' is actually written by Goldsmith himself as well, which is a wonderful piece of music.
Oh, wow.
This is a bit creepy though, where he's peering in her bedroom, sat in the bubble.
Yeah, this might not fly today.
That might not. That might not. Closer. At least Wolfgang is controlling it, and he's relatively good. He didn't smash the bubble through her bedroom through the front of the house.
Fans of Doesn't Fly Today cinema should seek out The Invisible Kid, which is a 1988 or 80.
Oh, is that the one where there's basically she's talking to a child that's imaginary, and it's like a TV movie?
Well, it was kind of like a teenage sex comedy that
Okay.
played into sci-fi a little bit, where he comes up with he can turn himself invisible. And it was all marketed on the notion of going into the girls' locker room.
Oh, no. So I'm thinking of a bad 90s movie called The Invisible Child, which is like this drama about a mentally ill woman who is dealing with a child that doesn't exist, an imaginary.
It sounds far more thoughtful and far more creative.
Oh no, it's known as one of the worst movies.
Oh, funny. James Horner also comes to mind as one of the greatest composers of all time.
Oh, James Horner was phenomenal.
Goldsmith and Horner were always like neck and neck, and also gone. Unfortunately, died in a crazy helicopter crash or something like that.
Private
plane crash. Yeah,
I think it was. Yeah. Oh, and here's another great kind of a sort of 80s movie trope: the friendly junkyard that you can just go into that has everything in it.
Yes, but beware the dog, because there's always
right. Oh no, the dog with the heart of gold.
Right. This movie is beautifully lit as well. I mean, it is. It has that perfect kind of Amblin vibe.
That's what I mean. It feels very like a Spielberg kind of movie in that way.
Yeah, and it's so authentic, which is nice. But now they try to recreate this vibe so much now, but when you're seeing something that's truly from the era, it kind of takes on a real special quality. Yeah.
The dog eating gum. I'm sure someone will say
one of the team now, one of the friends.
Yeah, but I'm sure someone will be saying don't give a dog gum. But it was the 80s. We didn't know not to do this stuff. So Carla has a question for myself and Lon. If we were to be, excuse me, put my teeth back in. If you be part of one of the friends groups from an 80s kids horror movie, which would you choose to be which team would you choose to be a member of? The Goonies, the Explorers, the Monster Squad, Stand By Me, or something else? And that's a question for all the audience. Which sort of 80s squad, team, gang would you want to be a member of?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a dark element to my spirit that wants me to just hang out with those Stand By Me kids. I know we're headed to a dark place, but there's something so fun about that group. But then the Goonies is kind of like, to be able to experience the Goonies. But Monster Squad really crept up on me too over the years. I actually forged a relationship with Andre Gower, the lead kid actor in that movie, which I think one of the reasons why he's in Search of Darkness was my contact with Andre and introducing him to David. And Andre is one of the greatest, you would hope that he would be the kind of personality that he is. And he's so excited to talk about Monster Squad.
Oh, he is, because we had him on for a watch party and he was tremendous.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's got such a great attitude.
Exactly. He was a wonderful watch party that people can catch on our YouTube channel if they missed it. We've got a lot of answers from the community as well. We have, we've got, I'll go with Robin Block, the big man. He'll be a Goonie all day long. Ariel wants to be an explorer. Hannah Rose wants to be one of the Monster Squad. And we've got one that's quite off the wall, and that is our friend Sharon, who wants to be one of the vampires of the Lost Boys.
Oh, nice. I got to hang out with a group of cosplayers at Comic-Con one year who had done up the Lost Boys.
Oh, wow.
And it was they did it so well that legitimately felt like I was hanging with the Lost Boys. It was really fun.
They didn't give you any strange wine bottles to drink from that day, did they?
No, luckily I escaped without being drawn into their dark reality. But I think I have to change and say I'm going to go with Monster Squad as my loyalty to my friend Andre, and the fact that I've actually felt like I sort of did join that team by spending time with him.
Oh. And for those in the UK, well, the UK, in America, you call them a tilt-a-whirl. We call them a waltzer here. The carriage from the ride, yeah.
What a great idea to put them inside an amusement park ride. Because at the time, that was it. If you could get out to one of those cool amusement parks for me and my brothers, like that was so exciting in the 80s. So there's a real smart marketing, I think, technique to put them in that particular vehicle.
It is, and what I love about it as well is, as we see when it gets built, it looks like kids built it, and that's what's great about it. I don't like some of the stuff you see in modern sci-fi. I mean, I love all sci-fi, but I don't like modern sci-fi where you'll see that the kids in the basement have suddenly produced something, or someone has suddenly produced a piece of technology that looks like it came off a professional production line. It doesn't have that kind of organic and rustic feel about it. Right.
Yes, and it probably did, because they build these things in a very professional environment here in Hollywood, where they dump millions of dollars into these props sometimes. So that's one of the reasons why I think they feel so clean. But they really did make an effort back in the day here to create something that felt authentic, like that had been produced by children.
Yeah. Where are you up to at the moment, Lon? What's going on with you?
I've got they're constructing the
I think we're just a few seconds behind, so you might want to pause for about 20 seconds, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I got to see this other version. I'm excited, definitely, to catch.
Yeah, we just had a classroom scene where they're all very tired.
Okay, let me know when they're working on the ship.
You can probably, they're just sort of screwing wood and stuff into it now, so
okay,
you can probably. But exactly, Mr. Frizzle says it's not an 80s movie without a building montage, and this is one of my favorite score cues. This I mean, the A-Team was famous for its building montages, the 80s was, but it's just great. I also want to know what that hole he's drilling in the back of the ship with that exceedingly long drill bit is for. When you see later on, they just put a sticker over it. So I don't know if it was an accident.
They just got to be doing things.
Yeah, it's great.
Stuff that reads work.
Oh, there we go. And Hannah Rose says, she'd agree with you. Even the most seasoned Silicon Valley kid would still create something a bit crude. I love authenticity of these films. It doesn't help that adults feel the need to hover over kids every damn second. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can definitely feel the difference with the modern sensibilities of these kinds of movies. It's much more marketed. They figured out, I think, how to really target their intended audience. Which probably is good for money, but then in the long run, there's something more authentic about these early the 80s, and the rating system too, right? Where these PG movies would push the boundaries a little bit more than what you might see today.
I love the fact as well that we started putting a space shuttle on, because every kid in the 80s wanted to be an astronaut and go up in the space shuttle. Such a big thing that we forget about now, how important the space program was to the world as a kid. And I remember in the 80s, you'd see shuttles going up into space, and you would watch the launches. You'd watch the launches in school, and it was a big thing.
Yeah. So here they are drinking beer. Is right? They get their hands.
We've got a scene here. No, we've got another scene. Just for a moment.
All right, I'm going to pause. I'm going to drink beer.
Yeah, sure. They're just getting their grades in school, and they're being told they're not doing very well.
There may be some swapping around of scenes happening on your version. Like they switched some stuff around.
They're
Yeah,
drinking beer now.
Okay, great.
I'm not
As
even
they
sure
should.
what beer that is.
But again, you wouldn't have kids consuming alcohol, probably.
I don't know. I was about 11. I shared a swiped beer with my friends, and it'd be
It's a little different in the UK, I think, in terms of
yeah.
The liberal sensibilities around kids and alcohol. In America, I think it's a little bit more tight niche.
I don't know. I think my parents would have kicked my backside if they knew I was 11 and I shared a very small bottle of beer with about 4 friends. We thought it was the coolest thing in the world, you know.
Of course.
So,
and then
again,
I love it. They just pour beer all over.
The only question is, when they go home, their parents can go, "Why do you smell of beer?" So, guys in the chat, did you ever have a sneaky beer when you were that age? You know, I'm not promoting teen alcoholism or child drinking in any way, shape, or form, but did you ever have a moment like that where you all snuck a beer with about 8 friends or something when you were 11?
Yeah, I was definitely at least a teenager when I first took down a beer.
Well, Aaron says, of course. Oh, there's a lot of people. Oh, and Wild Turkey, Aaron, that's Wild Turkey as well. Here we go. They're going in the Thunder Road for the first flight. Oh, Sharon swiped it from her dad. She was probably 12. Lizard Man, smart of them to bring oxygen, all things considered. Well, I love the fact that they have packed kids, whether they've packed supplies, it definitely is kids' supplies. It's basically potato chips and pork rinds and
the stuff we're going to need for outer space.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love these early 80s 3D graphic pieces they build for these movies. And that's somebody's job too. That it was so interesting to be on set and see that they hire, a particular programmer to come in and create these graphic pieces
because
for the camera.
These vector graphics, because the Apple computer they've got there was nowhere near capable of these kind of graphics at the time.
Right. You basically needed an artist to create these renders, and then they'd run it.
Okay, so that's a good question, Hannah. Hannah's saying pork rinds are pretty decent space food if you think about it. Dry and hard to spoil, but they're very dusty and zero gravity. So if you were going in this mission, question for the chat, what would you take into space as your snacks?
That's a very good question. What are we snacking on in space?
Yeah.
I was always fond of the space ice cream that you could get at some of those like specialty science stores and things.
I bought some at NASA about 2 years ago. Yeah, I visited NASA at Cape Canaveral, the visitor center there. And they had some, and it tasted just as bad as I remembered having it 10 years earlier from a science museum.
Freeze-dried food. If you like that texture, though, I will say, being a recent father of a new infant girl, we are buying those yogurt melts. They're little like freeze-dried yogurt melts, and very similar to the space ice cream, but they're pretty tasty. And I'm guilty of buying them now for myself and just snacking on them. Baby food.
There we go. And we've got a question from Sparky John here for both of us, and I don't know the answer to this, which is, do you know who the original director of Explorers was going to be, and what movie did he direct?
Oh, interesting. I do not know the answer to that question.
Okay.
I always thought it was Joe Dante's project from the beginning.
I thought it was. I can't imagine it not being a Dante movie.
Right.
What are they using, Sharon? What are they using for fuel? They're using a car battery because they only need to put electricity into it. They stole a car battery off I think off someone's father's car.
Really good optical effects here, and the beautiful Spielberg kind of Amblin lighting there on that wide shot. Love it.
Yeah. And this is it. This is where you get the kind of the soft haze over the town.
Yeah.
Which is really great to see.
It's a really nice movie to fall asleep to. I don't know if that makes any sense to people.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
There's certain titles that are dreamy, they have a dreamy quality.
It's the kind of movie you can just put on and you're not upset if you miss the ending of it, because you know you can pick it. It's a movie you can stop and pick up quite easily, and it's just you're not going to ever have a movie where you're asleep to it and you wake up with someone screaming at you. It's not one of those kind of movies.
For sure.
Oh, the dogs all watching the Thunder Road flying around. It was Wolfgang Peterson who went on to direct Enemy Mine. I think that would have been a very, very different movie.
Yeah, well, director of The Never-Ending Story, right?
Which is a phenomenal movie.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the greatest kids films of all time.
Have you ever seen speaking of different cuts, there is a German cut special edition of it.
I have seen it.
And it doesn't have the Giorgio Moroder score, I believe, does it?
That's right. It's there's subtle differences, but if you're as big of a fan of it as I am, you definitely notice them. And some of the voices are changed, like they did ADR for some of those characters, and it's a darker film, the German cut.
It is. Oh, I think Joe Dante must have loved doing this scene. Basically, his little homage to sort of 50s, 60s sci-fi here with Star Killer, played by Robert Picardo.
Yes. Yeah, the fact that Dante really wears his fandom on his sleeve, again, is just one of those really cool aspects about him. And I've talked to David before about how he is quite fond of Joe Dante. He really likes spending time with him and chatting with him, because I think they're like just big movie geeks, and that's why I get along with David as well.
Oh, it's great. I just love this scene, just seeing this. I mean, they've captured it perfectly. They kind of just the right element of reasonable effects on cheese for this sci-fi movie. Yeah.
There's Robert Picardo playing over the top, as he does so well.
Yeah. And you can hardly see the strings. And of course, Star Killer. Now, I think everyone knows the answer to this, but I'm going to ask the question of the chat. Which character famously was originally called Star Killer? And if you don't get this, you may as well leave the community now, to be honest.
I think I even know the answer to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little dark. Just like the Revenge of the Jedi original title had to be changed. Dark.
A few people already mentioned about the fact that it was, of course, Luke Skywalker. And the sound effects from for the movie at the drive-in theatre were from Yar's Revenge on the Atari 2600.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, they used to use a lot of the video game sounds as a sort of stock option for these movies. You'd hear Super Mario Brothers sound effects show up sometimes. And the adults wouldn't notice it, but the kids would be like, wait, I know that.
Someone's commenting, was this movie live? Never understood. I just think it's great that it's kind of as if the movie is being interrupted by them with what's going on. That great moment where Picardo picks up one of the pieces of set that's fallen over in this crappy movie he's in.
Yeah, Joe Dante, anything he puts out, I'm going to be first in line to see what he puts out there, because he's just his heart's in the right place. Really cool effect here with the helicopter circling the
definitely
the ship. I don't even know how they pulled that off.
Now, apparently it was ILM who worked on this, and of course we've seen the wonderful Dick Miller.
There he is. Yeah.
Dick
Miller, he is in it. He's probably the closest thing to like the villain of this movie. That's one of the criticisms this movie gets, is it doesn't have an antagonist.
No, but I don't think it needs to. I think it's quite unique in that sense. And Dick Miller's character, if you see, and I don't know if it's going to be in your edition or not, it's not certainly in my edition, there's a couple of extra scenes. There's a scene or two with Dick Miller that alter the character a little bit. And I think they're wonderful because it's implied as you go through the movie that really Dick was also contacted by the aliens as a child, but he was unable to act upon it.
Right.
So he realizes there's sort of a continuity between himself and the kids, and they are fulfilling what would have been his dream.
Yes, so there's like a sense of jealousy, but then he ultimately kind of lets them go, right? He's sort of
he encourages them,
right,
at one in one scene, which is quite wonderful to see.
Yes, he's a real lost treasure, Dick Miller. He was always
definitely
in these movies.
Definitely. There we go. Now the computer's getting more, I think, some more advanced programming or something, because it's getting a strange alien language appearing on the screen of it. It's not just the native commands.
Yeah.
I do love this scene where you just see the Thunder Road flying up and you see the city sort of beneath them.
Yeah, it's a beautiful composition.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a filmmaker myself, I'm often trying to recreate the vibe of these sorts of effect shots, which often requires sort of damaging it in a way, trying to reduce clarity.
Yeah, trying that almost dream element, I'd call it, about it.
Yeah, you can do interesting things with digital effects by just creating blur layers, and it kind of creates a glow around objects that are layered into your.
Going back to the movie here, at least they built the Thunder Road sturdy enough that it didn't all fall apart as soon as they turned the force field off while they were flying, which was quite fortunate, really.
Yeah, here we see him spinning right back down to Earth.
Yeah.
Tension is high. Stakes have gone way up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. They're with all the contemporary stuff coming out in terms of the UFO and alien phenomena. The stuff really does play into what they are saying is the reality of the situation. The advanced consciousness as a means of communication.
Oh, and a bit of a Warner Brothers kind of classic Looney Tunes sound effect there with the Thunder Road hovering at the end of its journey.
Another Joe Dante signature. He loved his Looney Tunes cartoons.
Here we go. Those kids are NASA bound. I suppose that would have been the dream for them. Every kid wanted to be a spaceman in the 80s. To be an astronaut.
I love the way that thing crashes down and bobbles to a stop.
There we go. They climb out the TV set, and they've got the washing machine doors. It's just great.
Not bad for a first run, for a test run.
Ben wanted to go to space camp. Well, apparently there's a deleted scene where Ben wants to go to space camp. Well, in Aaron's basement, in Wolfgang's basement, Aaron, I noticed there is a space camp poster as well. So I imagine Wolfgang also wanted to go.
Oh, space camp.
I'm sure Aaron had a space camp poster in his basement too, though. So that's another fantastic fun movie that.
Yeah, it really is. And that's another one I have to revisit. I haven't seen it in years.
Oh, it's a great movie, and it just unfortunately, due to the tragic Challenger disaster coming out, the movie was almost dead on arrival due to that.
Right. Yeah, that's really interesting to consider.
Trust the dream. Oh. Carla's saying, who didn't want to go to space camp as a kid? I still want to go to the adult space camp. I live in Houston, in Texas, and as soon as things open back up. Yes, Carla, but you need to be wary of Jinx the robot. And we see the sheriff's helicopter just landing here. Dick Miller. Oh, that's interesting. His co-pilot is actually called Miller. In the chopper.
Yeah. I wonder if that's just a coincidence.
I don't know.
This is where he's definitely moved. He's thinking about these kids.
So I'm trying to look at the Kingston Falls riot still unexplained. There we go, on the front of the paper that Miller is reading.
Or just swamp gas.
Yeah. Who knows what happened in Kingston Falls?
Right. I like the distinctly clear image of the ship and the suggestion that it could be swamp gas.
There we go. I'm trying to work out what happened at the drive-in theatre. No, Cliff, there's no such thing as gremlins. It wasn't a gremlin attack in Kingston Falls. That's just propaganda by Big Gremlin. Oh, and a Goonies Easter egg there as well.
The Gremlins have taken on a bit of an extraterrestrial vibe.
They have.
A lot of the stuff coming out.
They have. This is just great. This scene of him just flying the chopper over the city, over the town. The only thing I don't like is he throws the trash out the window of the chopper, which doesn't sit well with me. Don't litter people. There we go. And Carla says there's also a nod to another Dante film, The Howling. The headline that references a fire at the colony is suspected arson. And Mad Matt says the same thing. Here we are. Now we have Dick Miller's character talking about his dreams as a child. He's having these dreams again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was recently rewatching the original Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh yes,
Corman's original version, and which got a Blu-ray release. So it's for many years you couldn't see it in a proper release, and you can actually watch which makes it far more watchable, and it's a really interesting film to check out.
Yeah,
and features Dick Miller quite well. Very young Dick Miller.
Here we go. So Lizardman says Goonies, Gremlins, and Explorers are all in the same universe. What is this? The 80s genre flick cinematic universe? I want to live in that universe.
So that's what Dante should do, is take advantage of the expanded universe stuff happening and blend it all together.
So this is also another interesting thing. If you notice, in the dreams the kids are having, they're very famous dream tropes. So are they trying to say that these dream tropes are being caused by the aliens? Because we saw the dream flying. We've just seen the dream of someone at a window flying past while you're flying. That kind of, these famous kind of dream things. Are they trying to say that, the aliens all along, everyone who gets these dreams are being contacted by the aliens, but they're maybe not as susceptible to the influence?
Right. Well, that's the closest thing I think we have to experiencing, another reality or what may be, messages from beyond, human comprehension. I think humans have struggled with the meaning of dreams, and I think it's pretty applicable to bring extraterrestrials, into that space.
Yeah. And here we have, he's designing the extra piece of the circuit.
Oh, it looks kind of like the Guyver unit, which is my
it does a little bit
icon.
Now that'd be a very dark turn for this, where they all suddenly create Guyver units and also
the biomechanical merging of the extraterrestrial technology.
Yeah, that would be a very dark twist for Explorers to take, but wouldn't possibly be as bizarre as the one the movie will take in a few minutes.
No, it does not take on much body horror, but
no,
it does something else that is maybe equally shocking.
Oh, here we go, blowing up the shed. But
just another beautiful built location, and
oh, definitely,
just wonderful.
it's the thing about these sets and the way they did everything here is it looks so grimy, but that makes it look lived in. It's going back to, for example, some very popular sci-fi, maybe a little bit later than the 80s. I always had a problem with the spaceships in Babylon 5, for example, as opposed to the ones in Star Trek and Star Wars. I always thought the Babylon 5 ships, everything looked too clean and shiny. There was no texture to anything. And I think it's imperfections in special effects that make them look real.
Absolutely. And just, you know, having the right artist who has the right eye that's matching the tone, you know, of the piece. A lot of these sets, I think, are actually built on a studio lot.
Yeah.
So you're seeing 100%, you know, fabricated images, which really you only get with like the big studio movies.
Yeah.
You take the budget away, and these would all be done in someone's backyard or whatever. But this is like what we're looking at right now is probably a studio lot, you know, or we're on set somewhere, and everything has been you know, fabricated here.
But again, that's what makes it so incredible that someone's gone to the effort of even just putting the dead leaves on the floor.
Oh, absolutely. Just, I mean, and learning what goes into the process for me has been really eye-opening. When I first moved out to Hollywood and started to get some time on set on these big studio movies, and seeing just the sheer amount of work that goes into them was just awe-inspiring.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's interesting. I mean, I work in IT professionally, and I've done support and things. And I suppose it's very similar in respect that when you're doing your job properly, it's not noticed, or you're doing your job well.
Right. Right. Well, having grown up as a kind of a cinephile my whole life, and then I worked and I spent a lot of time in the Detroit area, where I worked for the auto industry of General Motors. And then when I moved here to Los Angeles, seeing the similar kind of pipeline as a major industry like the auto industry, but creating cinema as opposed that, like, that's the product. And I never really thought of it in that way before. I always just thought of it as a pure kind of art form. But the amount of labor and work and it's very similar to the pipeline that you would see producing, you know, any very big major product. You know, and they just do it really well out here.
Yeah. We see some space camp stuff on his desk dotted everywhere. He's just written his last will and testament for his mother, which I don't know, as a kid, what do you leave your mother? Oh, and Dick Miller's.
Hiya, kid.
Yeah. It's interesting, though, that Dick Miller's approaching him now as just a person, and his character's approaching him just as a person here, and he's not pulled his cop badge out and gone, look, I'm a cop. And I just found... Right. It's very clear his motive is a personal matter here. It's not it's nothing to do with his job. He doesn't really care from a police point of view about it.
Yeah.
And there's a scene coming up in a moment, and I'm not sure if it'll be in your release or not, because it does certainly change sort of the framing of Dick Miller's character. So I've seen many different cuts of this on DVD and VHS over the years and on TV. So at the moment we're seeing Dick Miller sort of going down into the gully. He's sort of chasing the kids, hunting them down.
That's right.
Looking for them. And they're all getting into the Thunder Road, trying to take off basically in an emergency. And they've got they've now got a humidifier in there as well. So quite comfortable in there.
Yeah, they're good to go. They're good to go into outer space. That's fine. Just no. So Dick Miller, yeah, he's kind of sort of chasing his childhood dream here.
He is, and this is such a great kind of 80s shot. As the camera's going up and the lights are flashing on him as he's there, and he's got a look of "Take me with you."
Right. It's one of the most touching moments and subtle.
Yeah. But again, I'm not sure if this is when there's a moment of realization, and he's just about to say his line here, which is,
Yeah,
Nice go. Yeah, nice going kid, and he's smiling at last.
Right. He's proud of
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. There we go. And they've decided they are going to go on whatever this mission is.
Yeah, and it's almost like if they had really turned up the volume in terms of the antagonist trying to stop them, it almost becomes a different kind of movie.
Oh, it does. It would take away some of the purity of this film. And that's one of the things I love about this movie.
Right.
It's a very, very pure, childlike movie. There's no malice really.
Yeah.
Aside from the bullies, who are only really minor antagonists in the story, they're kind of one and done.
Right. You get more of like the government threat in Flight of the Navigator or E.T. Whereas this sort of, they let that go and they allow the kids to just sort of go to the full extent of their, imagination.
Yeah. But there's an interesting question here, actually, that someone in the chat raised. I do apologize. I've forgotten who said it. But someone said it would have been great if they took Dick Miller's character with them in there. But he's kind of explained later on it can only be done with children because children don't have these preconceptions.
Yes. Yeah, all of my most tangible supernatural experiences come from when I was a child, hearing voices or seeing strange things in my home, and I sort of grew out of that, and I often think back to those moments and ponder what exactly I was experiencing. There's something special about a kid's brain.
Okay, I just want to say to everyone watching now, can you please fasten your seatbelts because we're about to take a sharp turn.
It's going to get weird. I'm going to get a little weirder. So hold on tight.
Yeah. I just love the fact that the kids are just eating their junk snacks, having great fun as their ship's flying around in a giant
while unlocking the
spaceship.
secrets of the universe.
Yeah. I think he's eating a Quaker cereal oat bar or something, so that's what they had with them earlier. Oh. And the ominous score. As the Thunder Road flies around in this giant ship,
which is really well crafted. They did a really nice job building the interiors of this thing, making it feel alien and yet not too frightening.
Yeah. Oh, and then we see this. I just love this bit with the Thunder Road descending down that little sort of kind of ramp.
Yeah, it's like a ride. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just chilling down, big smile on his face. Cool.
I love how this. I absolutely love how this scene though is shot, lit and set with the smoke just being perfect on the floor. The lighting being, it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's 80s.
Oh, it's just it's a real hardcore injection of bonkers 80s cinema.
Yeah. So Green Raptor says, does the air provide heat too? So potentially, I don't know, maybe that humidifier is putting out some kind of steam, hot air or something. I don't know. But the oxygen tanks certainly wouldn't. Again, Sparky John says the ship reminds him of partly of a Klingon bird of prey. I would say it certainly looks a lot like the one we saw in Star Trek 3 and 4, especially the green tone of it.
Yeah, those optical effects I just saw looked a bit like Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Yeah,
which has incredible visuals when they enter V'ger.
I think it's the first time we see Wolfgang get out the Thunder Road actually using one of the side hatches, because he normally just goes through the TV screen.
Yeah, he finally figured that out.
Yeah, that he could just move to the side instead of dismantling the front of it.
Yeah, I would totally pick up a toy version of this ship if they put that out.
Oh yeah,
or any of the alien designs.
I believe you can get some models. Again, if the chat can help us see if anyone has put out a model of this. I'd love a model of the Thunder Road. Oh, and another great sort of thing we see in a lot of 80s movies. We see in Goonies, and we've seen a lot of these movies. The kids going down a big slide, basically.
Yeah, yeah, and there was almost like a way to shoot it that felt,
Yeah.
just right, and it takes you into those exciting moments where you're going down like a water slide or
Yeah. I'd be interested to see how many takes the kids actually had doing these scenes and how much they enjoyed doing it. How many times they actually went down the slides.
yeah. I like how he kind of stops at the midpoint
Yeah.
there.
I mean, it's a very weird ship, but that's kind of what makes it great because the kids are supposed to be in this really kind of weird environment. I mean, there's a big bubbling black vat of goo there for some
Yeah,
reason. Why
yeah.
not?
Anything that feels sort of alien or the way they compose these shots
Yeah.
is pretty cool.
Well, Carl has posted a picture of a Thunder Road model from, or it might even be a prop in the Discord, and it looks incredible.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'm looking at it.
I would certainly have a Thunder Road model. I'd love one.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool. Do you remember a company? And by the way, if anyone sees an advert for this on Facebook, they are scamming you. Do not send them money because I've seen people caught out. A company released a Back to the Future 2 DeLorean that used magnets to hover and rotate.
Oh, cool.
It lit up and it basically hovered and rotated and it just looked incredible. And they are sold out. They were very limited, but there's a company scamming people on eBay, on Facebook with them. Anyway.
Nice. I'm excited about the Boglins coming back. I got my orders in.
Yeah.
Pre-order the Boglin.
But can you imagine if you could get a small Thunder Road model that floated and just rotated where you had it sat?
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, the magnet technology.
Yeah.
Yeah, I build models myself. This is an Audrey 2 that I created not long ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
So his mouth opens up and
that is so awesome.
Horrific. And it's got the babies too,
Oh, and we see the some wonderful stop motion here of this spider.
Oh, I love this part.
Mechanical spider robot. It's got a very, I don't know, it's a cross between, I guess, kind of a cross between Star Wars and I forget the name of the character, but the sort of the probe door that answers the door in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah,
especially from this here.
Totally.
But also, I get vibes of the really wonderful dark, I suppose, a horror film, the mechanical coldness from Return to Oz.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's another weird, fun, underrated movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about the use of any kind of stop motion that has a real special quality about it in these movies. When you see that kind of effect, I get really excited.
I love this. It's kind of just these robotic noses are just sniffing them, and then they're talking to each other, just carry on sniffing. It's a bit.
It could be easily frightening if they didn't do those moments, because it's a little intense.
Oh. Oh, the big comedy arms coming out, kind of patting him down.
This might be the most uncomfortable moment for these characters in this film.
I think it might be, but again, there's no malice in the moment at all.
No, and everything is designed in a very kind of fun.
Yeah. Oh, and we're hearing some. I wouldn't even be surprised if that might have been Chuck Jones samples or himself there, with some of the voicing we're hearing of the effects from the robot.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, great sound design.
Yeah.
Metallic motion. Maybe just reversing the footage.
It might be. I don't know. No, I think it was different. I think it might be they've filmed it.
Well, bless their hearts for doing some stop motion.
Yeah. There's a man saying airport security is getting really invasive, it seems. The giant spiders aren't exactly helping put people at ease. I would say it's still less intrusive than Orlando Airport if you've ever been there. So the Spark John's getting some Flight of the Navigator vibes from parts of the movie as well.
Oh, for
and
sure.
It does, yeah. That's another wonderful, wonderful 80s movie.
Absolutely. I would actually love to see a follow-up to Flight of the Navigator. I feel like that one could be.
Yeah.
They could write a sequel to that one.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, it's a time travel movie anyway. Oh, and now we're seeing lots of just little bubbles just appearing and disappearing that I don't know. I mean, are the bubbles we're seeing here, are they the same as the bubble technology that they gave to the kids to use?
Yeah, interesting.
Someone's saying a probe droid. So, and then we see the classic. I love the 80s kind of electricity and laser effects like we just saw there, the painted ones. I think they look so much better than the CGI ones for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really an expensive effect back in the day to pull that off.
Yeah.
And they've got that real streamlined now, and maybe not quite as charming.
Well, that interestingly was one of the reasons about the V, going back to 80s sci-fi at TV, the V miniseries and the V TV series for the most part. They limited the number of characters that had laser guns for budget reasons. So the humans would always tend to, with one or two exceptions, use machine guns because they didn't have to pay, because every laser shot cost so many $100 to paint in.
Interesting. I remember a commentary on, I think it was Return of the Living Dead 2, when you see the zombies and there's electricity that takes them out in the end, all over the wide shot. And they were talking. So
Aaron's asking, how did they make the effect of those lines going into his head, into Darren's head that we just saw? That would have been hand painted, I would have imagined.
Like animation, like old school, like cell animation.
A lot of work. And Sharon's just said, I just read that this is the first ILM movie produced with a major movie studio. I don't know, because ILM, I'm trying to think, because ILM did work on quite a few movies. Young Sherlock Holmes was an ILM movie as well, wasn't it?
Oh, that's a great movie, Young Sherlock. I love the effects in that too.
Yeah,
that was a surprise when I was a kid that we really enjoyed, because I thought I was going to be bored to death by Young Sherlock Holmes, and as kids we really enjoyed it.
But it's got some of their first CGI, some of that. Well, actually, Sharon, no, I don't know, because
here we go.
Star Trek 2 was ILM as well, wasn't it?
In monstrous alien.
Yeah, kind of I don't know. He looks a lot like a couple of British kind of kids characters. One called Fungus the Bogeyman, and there was another kids character called ILM co-produced it, right? Not that they worked on it, and another kids character called Green Claws as well. And they were both the kind of these big jolly green sort of squidgy aliens.
Now, is it Robert Picardo in this suit?
I don't know if he was in the suit. He's certainly the voice, but I think the mouth does look a lot like Robert Picardo.
Because he was Meg Mucklebones in Legend, which also has a similar texture and feel to it, but like far more dreadful.
Oh, Carla has confirmed he was in the suit.
Interesting. Yeah, because it feels similar to Meg Mucklebones in terms of how he's moving and things.
Now, the other question I've got for someone in the chat is, in a minute we see the female alien counterpart. Is that the same actress in that suit that we saw playing the female in the Starkiller movie earlier?
That would match Picardo's, performance.
Oh, he's sat there. Wolfgang's sat there. He's taking his moccasins off, but he's got his socks pulled right up. He's nerding to the last.
Just cozy and comfortable, fully accomplished. Hanging out in space.
Mad Matt's posted a photo of when he met Robert Picardo. Wonderful actor, and I can't wait until we get to do. I'm going to say it now. I don't care. On the Summer of Popcorn, Inner Space is in there, guys. I'm not going to say when. That'll be released soon, but Inner Space, I have scheduled it, and I can't wait to get to Picardo with another Dante movie with the incredible cowboy scenes.
Oh yeah, Picardo's great, and he's got a real good, jolly spirit about him. He's just
so
wonderful,
so
person.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And I'm a huge Voyager fan too. I a lot of people kind of have their mixed feelings about Star Trek Voyager, but I really enjoyed that particular.
He's a real highlight of Voyager. Some of the show isn't. The show, like all Star Trek, took a few seasons to get going, but he's wonderful in it. I can imagine these alien suits were really quite uncomfortable, and the balancing of them must have been quite awkward because of those tails, because your center of gravity must have been.
But Bottin was kind of brilliant. Like, he is one of those exceptional creature builders that, you know, comes like once in a generation.
Yeah.
Kind of talents, and the stuff he would create and how practical it was on set and things. You know, I've read just how effective and professional his stuff was.
Yeah. But here we go. As Aaron's saying, all the clips here were selected by Joe Dante, all the movie clips and film clips. We're seeing the aliens just talking with the kids. They're wonderful. They're wonderful aliens in that they look so alien, but they aren't terrifying to kids.
Yeah, and it's kind of refreshing to get a nice latent alien payoff in a movie like this, because I feel like a lot of the times they go a more subtle route, you know, or they keep it vague, you know. So Contact comes to mind, where you're waiting the whole film, which is a great film, but you don't really get the kind of like extraterrestrial payoff that you might kind of desire from a creature design standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the costume. I'm trying to work out where Picardo would be. I mean, obviously you can't see out there. I mean, the last time I saw Rob Picardo, he didn't have tentacle eyes himself. So I'm kind of wondering where he would be seeing out on the headpiece.
Oh, it's common that they're fully blind too when they put these things on, and that they have to depend on the crew around them to tell them, you know, where and when to move.
Yeah. And again, this is a great sort of thing that's been spoken about in a few things before. With all the radio waves of TV shows being broadcast, I mean, this was something with Star Trek Motion Picture and a lot of other sci-fi as well, about the broadcast going into space being intercepted and people believing. I mean, Galaxy Quest very famously believed that all the stuff being broadcast was a different record of humanity.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's always one of those points, you know, when the skeptics talk about how we are so insignificant and there's no way, you know, another alien species would take an interest in Earth, but it's like, we're so loud, we're putting stuff out there, and we are a sentient species on a planet, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's something that noticed us by now.
Well, Carla's saying if Explorers was made today and the aliens had access to our TV programming and internet, what would the aliens be imitating, twerking? Well, I think the thing you've got to remember as well is these aliens, because they say about how long the radio waves take to get there. If you're looking at the TV shows they're showing and the movies they're showing, they're all 50s and 60s. So the idea is these radio waves left Earth, you know, 20 to 30 years before these kids, before the time frame of this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of times we're thinking about things through the scope of human technology, not taking into account that there could be things that are, you know, billions of years beyond what we're capable of creating. So now they're talking about, you know, extra dimensional possibilities, and it's a rabbit hole that I enjoy going down, but it's not for everyone.
no, it's interesting, but I'm saying the kids are realizing that the aliens are just like them, and well, they are. But as I'm not going to spoil the things, but as Carl says here, so the aliens would be seeing 80s stuff like ET. Well, in theory, depending on how far away they are. I mean, I think I remember seeing something about this, that early broadcasts would only just about now even be reaching the edge of our galaxy, even with how far they travel and how fast they travel. It's quite mind-boggling to think that if you think about radio signals travel at basically the speed of light, and as a lot of people know, light from stars that you see can be from stars that have been gone for millions of years. It just takes so far to come to Earth for us to see an image of what once was, and it's the same with radio signals.
Yeah, it's so fascinating to kind of track how this has developed over the years and our relationship with, the thought of, are we alone in the universe? How that's changing. Really interesting to be alive right now.
Sharon says, we could assume the aliens might be smarter than us. Well, I'd hope so.
It's also possible that they've been here for millions of years, even before we arrived.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Battlestar Galactica tropes. That life here began out there.
Right. Yeah, there's a great series called Intruders that was a made for television broadcast I watched recently. That's a really cool story about abductees, and it has the Rambo guy that was like the colonel. I'm trying to remember his name.
Oh, George Pepper. Oh no, sorry. Oh, Colonel Troutman.
Yes,
John
actor.
Krenner.
Yes, he's
Richard Krenner.
And it's an underrated Krenner performance. He's really good. He's a psychologist who makes that leap from understanding it as childhood trauma to possibly accepting that it might actually be happening.
Oh, Colin just comes back with Richard Krenner. That's right.
Yeah, Richard Krenner is a great actor.
Oh, as Mad Matt says, dear Earthlings, please stop sending nudes with the infamous photo that was included with the Voyager probe.
I think that Intruders might be.
I think that's a different one. It's a BBC series.
Because I think there's a multiple. Yeah, we're talking like 90, like 4 or 5. It's got like a hand on the cover. Like it's kind of a creepy. It's a disturbing film.
Yeah. So as Aaron just said, explorers, but I want to bring back something I said earlier. Now, so the way I feel is, are the kids really the explorers? Because they didn't reach out to the aliens. The aliens reached out to the kids to explore our culture and our planet. So who are the explorers?
It's probably fair to say they both are.
Yeah.
They're finding each other, I like that notion that there's contact made between an alien civilization and just innocent kids, as opposed to some sort of government contact or, landing on the White House lawn. It's probably a smarter way to engage the species is just make contact with kids.
So Carla says, I still think the kids are the explorers if she had to choose. Oh, Aaron, don't spoil it, Aaron.
So was this Ethan Hawke's first big theatrical movie, or was there something?
I think it was. It was Ethan Hawke's. It's such a shame with River Phoenix that we lost him so young.
I know.
He would have gone on to he would have been a De Niro level actor by now.
Yeah. I saw something recently that was kind of honing in on the irresponsibility of the people he was with that night. And there's a lot of controversy around how and why that very preventable, apparently, death occurred.
So it was Ethan's first acting gig, period, apparently.
Yeah, it's wild. He's great. I mean, Ethan Hawke is up there with one of my favorite actors, male, like white actors of all time.
This is a great, powerful scene, just showing why it's like the aliens want to meet us, but they're afraid, but they do believe that the stuff they see as to how we treat aliens means we would attack them. So they needed to so you would communicate with children, possibly people, because all the footage always shows adults will kill aliens.
That's right. There's a childhood innocence, where you less swayed by the culture that we're kind of inundated with anti-alien stuff.
Yeah. Maybe that's why we've never been contacted by aliens. You never know.
Yeah. I mean, the possibility of an actual conflict between us and another civilization is very difficult to comprehend. But
yeah,
wouldn't that be wild if we lived to see something like that happen?
That would be
in any capacity.
Incredible.
It's just so wild to imagine. But next month, apparently, they're going to be releasing a bunch of information about what they've been tracking on radar.
Great Lassie joke. Again, this is what makes this film so wonderful. It's so much fun, but then it has some real serious stuff about how we treat each other.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the big mothership shows up here.
That's right.
Space pirates.
Space pirates. The only thing I would have liked is if the other ship was swallowed by an even bigger ship again.
It's kind of begging for that, yeah.
Yeah, like some kind of a Russian dolls concertina moment.
And maybe that was what Dante, one of those things that he had in mind. Because apparently this is an unfinished film. Yeah, Joe Dante's bit in the Twilight Zone movie also comes to mind in terms of some of these effects and the visual style. Or it's the boy who can kind of create anything, right?
I'll be honest, they didn't cut corners building sets here, even for the ending here. This alien ship set's rather large in parts. There's some substantial pieces of props you can see they built.
Yeah, it's really cool. Invaders from Mars also comes to mind in terms of the crazy third act where they get on board the ship and that one's like a Stan Winston design.
Yeah.
But similar kind of vibes. A little bit more dreadful.
This makes me wonder, as going back to Transformers the movie, the animated one which we spoke about earlier, there's a race in it, which, I mean, bear in mind that movie came out of very close to this, called the Junkians, and they talk TV, as they say, played by Eric Idle.
Mm-hmm.
And I do wonder if they took inspiration from these characters, sort of a race that the only way they speak English is because they just talk nonsense from adverts and TV shows.
Yeah, it's interesting how some of those ideas get replicated around the same era, or sometimes certain films seem to have their other version. It's like either the information leaks and another studio says, oh, they're doing this, so we're going to do our version of that, or there literally is like a shared consciousness that we're tapping into.
Yes, exactly.
I love the design of this crazy alien that shows up, the feet sticking out of its ears.
Oh. Not sure why he's got an extra pair of arms growing out his head.
Almost has a Puff the Magic Dragon kind of feel, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But I love stuff like this, like, the payoff of getting another creature. That was always something that when they did this in these kinds of movies, like the giant clown at the end of Clowns from Outer Space, like taking that extra step, going even further. I always, it's very rewarding.
Again, we've got some wonderful bits going on here because the fingers appear to be moving on his head hands.
Yeah, it's cool effects. Almost like there's actually a man's hands. Or someone
it could be
operating it.
Yeah,
I watched that documentary recently on the making of Sesame Street. I don't know if that was fascinating to watch so much of
Mm.
the behind the scenes of Sesame Street, having grown up with
Yeah.
that since, you know.
There are some tremendous documentaries out there behind the scenes on some of this stuff. I mean, one of my favorites is the Imagineering story, where they talk about how building animatronics and how they got on with that, which is just
Oh yeah.
incredible, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I am such a practical effects advocate. I really love
Mm.
seeing when that stuff gets built on camera, and you know, it's definitely one of the big reasons why I was excited about joining this community, and you
Yeah,
know, watching movies with, you know, with you guys. It's just like, these are the ones that resonate with me so much. You know, when you can physically feel it, that it's there, it's on set, they're interacting with real things.
yeah.
So it's so much different than what you get today with CG, because
Not
you just
reacting to
really know, even if
a
it's
tennis ball on a stick.
right, even if the CG is like
Yeah,
just picture perfect, you know it's not there. So there's something really special about the stuff being really lit and present with the actors.
yeah. Oh, Hannah Rose says she thinks the alien dad is a chain smoking plumber. I think it is kind of inferred that these aren't rich kids. These aren't, you know, from a wealthy or different family. And I think if you look, his car, the bigger car that sort of swallowed them up, is a bit of a junker. And he's a family guy and he's got his tool belt. And it's just, families are universal. As
Yeah,
uh, as Sharon says, great seeing kids and parents are universal.
yeah. They basically, they took the car key. They took the parents' car keys.
Yeah,
Ran off and made contact with a primitive species,
that's right.
breaking the Prime Directive.
Yeah,
Kids,
leaking using the dream machine built on the ship to leak our technology.
we told you, this is a
Yeah.
big no. It's against the Galactic Council's laws. It's always fun to imagine what the expanded, you know,
Oh, I love doing
something like
that.
this would bring. You know, if they were to make a sequel to Explorers and go further into what this universe is. I
Yeah,
always like dreaming or imagining what those could be.
where they could go, what could have
Visiting
happened.
the home world, you know,
Yeah.
who are, you know, are there space pirates? If they, you know, is that a real thing that they do go up against in this world?
Well, the question is, what's their mother like?
Right. What is the mother like? Probably
Oh,
got,
and a lovely Looney Tunes kind of twang effect to start off. I love the fact you can hear him struggling to get the ship into gear.
yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's kind of a big trash heap.
Yeah. And you can imagine Dad be like, wait till I get you home. Your mother's going furious with you.
Boy, I thought my dad was tough.
I mean, they had a short meeting with the aliens, but ultimately he now knows his dream's been fulfilled. He isn't alone in the universe. He knows they're not alone now.
Yeah, you sort of see his character feels like fulfilled at this point, and
Yeah,
now he's got to get back to the real important matters, like his schoolboy crush.
that's right. I just love the footage as well. Obviously, they had to use helicopters to shoot at the time, flying over cities. I think that's something so wonderful about it, and it's maybe not the same now because there's a lot of people with drones, but there was just something really cool about sort of seeing footage flying over cities. Big
Yeah,
80s thing.
totally. I think when you process that footage just right, you can kind of recapture, especially at night. Like there's something
Yeah.
about the blues that really resonate.
Oh no. Oh,
Boom.
getting out the Thunder Road.
And the implication here is that she is psychically connected now too.
Yeah. Yeah, but for all we know, the that alien's now got the picture. He's got a crush on her. He wants her to go to space. He's going to take her as some kind of slave or something.
Yeah, that's a much darker take on it, Andrew.
Yeah. It could be. He's found this girl and he wants to take her along on the journey with them.
Well, it did feel like it was kind of missing a female perspective.
Yeah.
There is a bit of a lack of diversity in this movie.
But I mean, all these kids are supposed to be about 11 years old. I mean, it's the fact her parents don't see it. Well, obviously, she must have snuck out. I mean, if you're 11, you go to your mother, hi, it's middle of the night. I'm going to leave my room and go running across town at night. And I'm 11. I mean, yeah.
I have a feeling she was in competition with Elizabeth Shue at the time.
Right.
They have a very similar look.
Oh, wow. So, Carla says the film was originally going to have end with the three boys using a device on Steve Jackson, the bully, to make his clothes vanish as a revenge. Ooh, don't think I'd like that. Also, there was a party scene with Ben kissing Laurie.
Oh, interesting.
It would have been interesting to see where the movie went, but I think for all the pain Joe Dante went through making this, it still turned out to be a remarkable film.
I agree. And he should, we should get a message out to him as much as we can that this movie is loved and adored, and that he should let go of those kind of negative feelings he has, if only for the fact that the movie did eventually find its audience and does kind of work.
It's as I said at the beginning, it's your childhood dream. Everyone dreamt as a child of building a spaceship, and it's wonderful to see what someone else's dream may have been.
Yeah. I always felt that same desire to tell David Lynch too that his Dune movie was actually pretty awesome. It don't feel so bad. Like you hit the mark enough correctly that we're in love with what you made.
I love the fact that Wolfgang dresses like a 40-year-old man throughout the film.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely is a mad scientist.
Yeah.
Not like, Reanimator mad scientist.
No, we don't. He's like that.
Herbert West. He's not a Herbert.
He's not a Herbert West, but he's just a cool kid scientist.
Yeah.
But again, that wonderful scene, and the fact I love the fact, and obviously they couldn't make it rain, but how fortunate they were to be able to go back to that mountaintop where they had the joy initially, and then it's raining to go with the sorrow of loss.
The film was shot in a town called Petaluma, Sonoma County.
Oh, wow.
California here. I was like visiting those places just to kind of see if I can see any of the areas where they filmed. I've been meaning to check the town where they shot Halloween 3. That's on my bucket list.
Definitely. But they're saying in the chat, Hannah said when she'll definitely show this movie to her kids once she has some.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is definitely one you can share with the kids.
This is one I've shown my niece. I'm very close to my niece, and I got into a lot of the 80s movies, and this is one I really enjoyed watching with her. Yeah.
I should show this to my son Billy. I think he would appreciate it. He can get his head out of the video games for an hour and a half.
And speaking of Billy, in a few moments we'll discuss something to do with your son Billy.
Oh yes, I'm excited. I'm excited to bring you into my strange world.
Now we see the wonderful we hear that great score, but now we now see she's there as well with them. She's now part of this. She's now dreaming alongside them. She's now in for the journey. But then again, do you know what? I'm glad they never made a sequel, because I think as a child, it's wonderful that you can never write a movie as good as a child's imagination will come up with.
Yeah.
I don't care if kids, when they saw this at the right age, dreamt that they went into space and then they fought Darth Vader. I don't care, because kids don't care about franchises, crossing over, anything like that. Whatever happened, happened. And every child's imagination of where this story went is valid and as just as each other's.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And I think he taps into the magic of your first crush and your first love.
Yeah.
The way that is a real special feeling that can't really be replicated.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see, because these flying effects are actually reasonably good.
Yeah, well, they've got the right kind of wind machines blowing their hair and stuff, and the lighting.
Yeah,
and they've composited the image really quite well.
I would say I do think they were possibly. I'm not sure if they were laying on something or if they were in harnesses for those flying moments, though. And we see.
But it is a nice way to end the film, just to have them flying around.
Oh, it's great. And then a final shot of the spaceship. And Robert Picardo again.
Yeah, I think there's probably some deviations happening again with the version.
Yeah.
But
well, everybody, that was Explorers. Lon, can you sum this movie up?
Oh man, Explorers is really a wonderful trip into a kind of unrestricted, imaginative dive into outer space from the vantage point of the 80s. It really works quite well as a magical childhood film.
It really does.
Yeah, I love this movie. I have really grown to appreciate it over the years. The design, cinematography, all the casting. It is one of those, I would say, lightning in a bottle kinds of experiences.
Without a doubt, it's a movie I absolutely adore. It's one of my all-time favorites. Our chat have been wonderful today. Thank you so much to our chat in Discord, part of the In Search of Tomorrow community, all joining us, interacting with us, going through their stuff with it. How do you guys feel about this movie? Let's have your final thoughts, please, of what you. Aaron says the stuff dreams are made of, and that's what this movie is. It's a fantasy, but a wonderful, fun, innocent, kind fantasy. There's very little nastiness about it.
Yeah, beautiful score.
Yeah,
really well
what a
directed.
score.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yes. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining us. Cliff says his all-time favorite childhood movie. Nothing will ever change his mind.
Nice.
Sharon says thank you to everyone for being here today. Thank you for the hard work. It's wonderful having you here, Sharon. Sparky John says it's a great fantasy film about the wonders of imagination, and it really is. It's so much fun. And Aaron's saying I may throw on the wax of the soundtrack now. Yes, well, that'd be great. And Hannah's saying thank you. Well, if you stay with us just for a few minutes, we're going to go through some interesting bits. So, Lon, aside from being a fantastic member of our community and a guest host on our watch party, I believe you've got a bit of a project in the works at the moment.
That's right. Yes, I have been, a aspiring filmmaker pretty much since about age 7. I've been fiddling around with creating my own content, and it's what's been driving me to this kind of career lifestyle. I made up my mind very young that this was what I wanted to do. I wanted to make movies, and then you grow up and you realize it's a very competitive, difficult world to compete in. But I sort of took it to the level of, I moved out to Los Angeles and I work in the industry. I do editing and composing. I'm a music composer, and occasionally I get the opportunity to direct things. And then, of course, passion projects that are coming from your own creative mind or whatever. And this is a project I started up, I guess about 6 months ago now, called Billy Kills the Internet. And I started making movies with my son, Billy, from a pretty early age, where I would film him on a green screen. just do various different experimental things, put the videos out on YouTube. And I really got inspired around this idea of the internet as a sentient being, and taking a bit of an anti-internet approach to this. I do love the internet and all of the things it's made possible for us, but there is that sort of, what did the internet do to us? In many ways, we've sort of transformed as a culture, mutated, if you will, from where it used to be back in the early 90s and the 80s, the era that we're so passionate about here. So Billy Kills the Internet is basically an absurd fantasy, low budget madness piece about kids that are basically piloting a spaceship without really any explanation. Plays into themes of, kind of feels like Never-Ending Story, where they're sent on a mission to take care of this horrible thing, which is, in the Never-Ending Story, was the nothing. So we've kind of replaced the idea of the nothing with the internet. The internet is this sort of sentient thing that we thought was something really cool, but it turns out to be an extraterrestrial kind of intelligence that's controlling the universe. So he goes on a mission to destroy it once and for all. So it's just been a really fun journey of visualizing what that is, throwing any rules of logic and reality out the window and allowing it to become kind of a experimental Pee-wee's Playhouse bonkers kind of thing. But we have a Kickstarter that we started, or I'm sorry, an Indiegogo campaign that we have running now for finishing funds, because I'm in the third act of the film, where he is in the realm of the internet, and it's kind of inspired by H.R. Geiger, and I've got a lot of really complex visuals going on in terms of what I'm capable of producing on my end. So this is my fundraiser for the film here in the Discord chat. So I appreciate anyone taking an interest in checking out the trailer, at least, and getting a sense of, there's a great opening from David Bowie, who was interviewed in the 90s about, the internet and what it meant and how it was changing things. And he has a great bit of dialogue about, the idea that it's a sentient alien life form. So that was inspiring as well, to hear Mr. Bowie talk about it in that context. So again, I love the internet and everything it's made possible for us, but it is fun to kind of explore a very anti-internet theme, which also showed up recently in that Netflix film about the can't blanking on the name, but there's a family and they're going up against technology.
Okay.
So again, thinking about ideas that are in the ether and that are shared, I think we're going to start seeing more movies like this. I think there's others that are kind of inspired by these ideas of making the internet a character in itself, a sentient being, and what that is. And he's probably schizophrenic asshole, if you really think about it. But yeah, that's what I'm working on, and if you guys want to take a look at that, and maybe throw a couple dollars at my finishing funds, I would definitely appreciate it.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Please check out Lon's project. It's very interesting. It's a lot of fun. I've seen the trailer. It's just great fun. Thank you, Lon, for joining us today. It's been so much fun. We'd love to have you back again in the future for another movie.
Absolutely,
just great movies lined up. So a bit of a change is I'm going to start trying to announce as far in advance as I can, and more movies will be announced. But next week we will be with the In Search of Darkness community, and we will be watching A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors. And then the week after, we will be back. So the 13th, we will be back with the In Search of Tomorrow community for War Games. And our special guest for that, I can't name him at the moment, but he is a subject matter expert. He is a real life doctor who has qualifications in electronics and computers, and is on another level. So he will be explaining a lot of the clever stuff that goes on in that movie with us. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Keep safe. Have a wonderful week. And I will see you in the Darkness community next week, and in the Tomorrow community the week after. So thank you, everyone, and bye-bye.
Thanks so much, guys. Great seeing you.